Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, thanks for dropping by. If you wouldn't mind, consider hitting that button in the lower right hand of your screen. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thank you for coming by and seeing me again. So the last few videos that I've been doing have been, on this bike right here, my 2013 Victory Crossroads, and this video is no different. However, it is coming at it from a slightly different angle. My first video about this bike was me actually picking it up from the dealership. The next few videos after that was comparing this bike to other models that I was considering and why this bike won out. And then my last video was a dry walk around, and this video is going to be me just kind of working through and hopefully conveying to you what it's like being behind the handlebars of this machine, because I like it. I like it a lot, and I want to see if I can spread the joy, if I can. So first off, I think we're going to start just from front to back, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is that headlight. That headlight is so cool. It works so well. I basically just run with my bright on all the time because of where I live. And you'll see that in a B-roll that I probably have going right now. And if you know anything about action cameras, they don't really do well picking up night scenes. That's why you don't see a whole lot of them. But I was super impressed with the quality of this headlight as expressed with how well this camera actually picked up the headlight and how far out you could look. Really good. I'm really happy with this headlight. I really can't say enough about it. Compared to my Vulcan S, I needed to change that to a full-on LED. Then I needed to have the fog lights down here on my Vulcan S added and in working order, and I would literally run all three of those lights all the time, and all three of those lights pretty much match the energy of this one single light. So man, this is just awesome. When you ride like I do, the hours that I do to go to work, lighting is super important. Gotta have it. Okay, enough about the light. Immediately behind that is this big old windscreen here. Now it's dirty because there's bugs, and that's just Kansas, can't get away from it. But wow, it works so good. Again, it's not quick release, but you know what? I don't need a quick release. I had a quick release on my Vulcan S, and that windshield, that windscreen left the bike maybe 3 times a year. So it was a wasted add-on on my part. I could have saved myself some money and just got a regular bolt-on windscreen and been, just as good for it. So the fact that this isn't quick release doesn't bother me at all, but it's big, it's tall, it's wide. It's tall enough to where I can see over it, and there's just and I don't have a camera anymore, I don't have a camera facing me, but there's just a little bit of wind turbulence on the very top of my helmet, but it's very minor, doesn't bother me at all. And you feel a slight, what I would call a slight breeze. Like I'm doing 60 miles an hour right now, and I feel just a nice light breeze, and it comes up underneath and swirls up underneath me, and then comes back out again into this like dead space area. And all this right here is just dead air. And so you got this swirling effect coming up from underneath me and hitting like my side, like where my ribs are on both sides, but it's a minor breeze. It's not punishing or abusing me in any way, shape, or form. So like I said, I like how well this windscreen works. Woo! Kansas roads are dangerous. You can't get You can't get crazy out here in Kansas. You'd think you could, because there's a lot of 2-lane highways that aren't traveled, but these roads aren't highly maintained, most of them. The last thing you want to do is actually get goofy out here. Anyway, the gauge is has got to be an easy 4.5 inches in diameter, babe. That's on the inside of the bezel. And I like where it's sitting. It's right there in that dead space behind the handlebar. It's far enough away from me to where even with my camera on my helmet, it's clear. All I got to do is twitch my eyes down. I don't have to move my head at all, and I can see everything I need to see, and I like it. On my Vulcan S, I actually did have to move my head around a little bit just to see my gauge. With this, it's far enough out there to where I just got to tip my eyes and I see what I want to see. So good. Now, again, in the night shot, the blue light is, I'm not a fan of the blue. It's not that it's harsh on my eyes, it's not, but for me, it's a little harder to read the blue at night than, say, maybe like a red. And I think Indian does red. So I'm not a big fan of the blue, but it's not something that's so off-putting that it's distracting or it's dangerous. It just takes my eyes like an extra second to get used to the blue after I get done with the headlight. The gauge itself, as you can see, is an analog gauge for the speed. But then underneath that is your idiot lights. You got your cruise control, you got your ABS, you got your neutral, you got your headlight beam, you got your turn signal indicators, you got your low fuel light, and then you got your engine trouble light. All your basic stuff. And below that is your LCD. And the LCD actually has your digital fuel gauge up on the top bar going across. And then you have, on my screen right now, you have mileage. Below the mileage, you have a clock. And to the left of that is your gear shift indicator. Now, on my left, on the left handlebar, underneath this index finger, there is a trigger which allows me to change that screen. And so now you see I have a trip A, which I have 92 miles on, and hit the trigger again, and it goes to the RPMs, which are sitting at 2450. Now, I have read the owner's manual on this, and there should be more to it than that, because I hit the trigger one more time and I go back to my actual odometer. Now, I don't know if these other menu items can be opened up at a dealership or if I'm just stuck with that. But if that's all there is, I'm fine with that. Literally just what I need and not anything extra. And I basically use the Trip A as a quick mileage between fuel ups, so I can tell what my mileage is. So I can do the quick math and and see how many miles per gallon I got. Now then, continuing on with this left side handlebar, you'll notice I do not have a hydraulic clutch. I have a regular cable clutch. And I like that. The clutch is solid, it's smooth. You get instant feedback when you're engaging to pull off. And while it's not, I suppose somebody would say it's a hard clutch to deal with. I'm not one of them, but I will say this, it feels like a manly clutch. Gives me a manly feeling. I don't know if that makes sense. That might sound silly to somebody, but you know, as I'm downshifting, yeah, it feels good. It's just a firm, good clutch, but it's steady. It's not, and it's predictable. Now that we're coming up on a turn, the turn signals have been a surprise to me. See, if I engage the turn signals now, you'll see down there they're flashing. Now, I won't turn them off. I have discovered that I have see, they just went off. I have self-canceling turn signals. That was a super pleasant surprise. I literally was not expecting that at all. I did not think this bike had that. Nothing, when I was reading up on this bike, I didn't find anything that said that. I might have missed it. I might not have been paying attention, but there we go. It's self-canceling turn signals. Absolutely love it, because I'm horrible about remembering my turn signals. And then of course the horn, which who cares about the horn? Woo! I'm into some serious cross breeze. I hope this video comes out. Now to my right, of course, you have the kill switch, battery kill switch, and the starter. And if you were watching my last video, you heard me complain about the cruise control. Specifically about its location, about how cheap it looks, and why it couldn't be here, you know, here in the housing. And those complaints have not changed. That being said, I want you all to know that I knew the cruise control was there. I knew what I was getting. But once again, until you actually use it and feel it, you don't know if you're going to like it or not. Now, it does work, and I'll show you. See, we turn it on, and then we set, and there we go. Cruise control active, and it's kind of fun because first bike I've ever had with cruise control. One of the reasons why I bought this bike and the other bikes that I was looking at because of cruise control. And it's so interesting to feel the bike regulate itself underneath you while you're riding. Oh my gosh, that crosswind is so strong. We're going to turn off the cruise control now, and I'm going to maintain 100% control over my bike, because that crosswind is insane. Continuing on underneath me, on both sides, of course, are those big, massive floorboards. I showed you in the last video how big they were and how much I could move my foot around, and that holds true, man. I've got so much room to play and set my feet and make my riding position, you know, a little more comfortable from time to time when I feel like I need to put more bend in my leg or less bend in my leg. The only thing I want to do different is I want to add foot pegs down there on my engine guard so that I can, you know, change up my leg position a little bit more, get a little more extension. And that's like literally the only mod I actually want to do to this bike that isn't already done, because one of the things I really liked about this bike was the fact I don't have to screw with it. I don't have to put a whole lot of extra stuff onto it, because, you know, it's set up the way I like already. If I was to do anything different, I might raise the handlebars a little, because it's so hard to get a full lock on these bars as low as they are, but at the same time they're comfortable where they're at. If I was to do anything, I might raise them just a bit, like maybe an inch. I don't know. I want to ride like this with the bar stock like this for quite a while, just to see if I really do need to raise them up, because my back feels good with the bars and everything where it's at now. So I'm kind of, you know, not in a hurry to mess with that. The brakes. The front brake works really well. Really happy with it. The rear brake, though, is especially grippy. It caught my attention before the front brake. I actually thought the front brake was a little bit soft and the rear brake was strong. It reminded me of my Vulcan 900, my Kawasaki Vulcan 900 Classic. Its rear brake was super grippy. That was one of the things that really caught my attention about it compared to my Kawasaki Vulcan 800 Classic. And it was also one of the things that hurt me, was because it was super grippy with no ABS. This has ABS. And the accident I was in with my Vulcan 900 Classic is why I absolutely will not get a bike without ABS ever again. But believe me, if the Vulcan 900 Classic would have had ABS, I probably would have got it instead of my Vulcan S, just because I really did like that bike a lot. But this bike, of course, does have ABS, and I've not done any emergency braking practices yet. That's coming up. But the rear brake is very strong, works very good, super happy with it. The seat, of course, I've bragged about ad nauseum. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. It's very comfy. The way I feel when I ride this is awesome. I like the size of this bike. I like how it feels underneath me. I love the sound of it. I think my sound dampening on my mic and my helmet is going to be such that you're not going to hear my bike very much, but I will try to throw in a B-roll of my acceleration and deceleration of this bike if I can. Okay, I'm going to interrupt the video here real quick because I want to give a big thank you to my wife. She helped me go out and make those sound bites for the motorcycle. It was a crazy windy day out, like 60-mile-an-hour gusts, almost blew me off the road a couple of times getting to where we were shooting the video. She was tired. She had ran some errands. I had just gotten home from work, and we ended up making like at least six different passes with different sound setups to try to get the best sound for you guys. So I hope you liked it. I hope it came out as good as I think it came out. And with that, I just want to say thank you, baby. I love you. Appreciate it. And then now back to the video. Thanks. They say you know you've got the right bike when after you get done riding it and you get off of it and you're walking away and you kind of glance back at it again. Honestly, that's what this bike does for me. It makes me want to give it that second look, and I can't wait to get back on it again when I get off of it. I suppose the last thing I need to talk about is the cornering on this bike, because, you know, it's a bike. And I will tell you, I don't care. Look at where I live. Look at where I'm basically driving. I live in Kansas. Mostly straight roads. You saw a couple of curves in a little bit earlier in this video, but honestly, I don't have a lot of curves I need to worry about. My Vulcan S was very playful, really liked diving into the curves, and what roads I do have that are curvy, it ate them up. But it's a sport cruiser, right? It's a sport cruiser. This is a light touring cruiser. Bagger. And it can curve, it does dive in, but it requires a little more effort, and it's not why I got this bike. I got this bike for these long straight roads, for going back and forth to work, and for being comfortable. So, you know, does it do the thing? Sure it does. It does the thing. But it requires a bit more effort to make it do the thing. I'll be honest, it's not light, and it's not as nimble as the Vulcan S, but it will do the thing. I think I think that's it. I love this bike. I love riding it. I love the fact that I can't wait to get back on it again after I've done ridden it. So, With that, I'm going to finish getting my way home. You all have a good day. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next one. Ciao.